Yo, what is up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. And here today, y'all, I'm here for a list video. And it's going to be a list video for bands that I think should retire. Now, this is not a hate video towards these bands. It's just, these bands, they don't have it in them anymore to put out good music or albums nowadays. So, that's why this video is being put together. So let's go ahead and get started with my list for bands that I think should retire. Okay, up first on the list is Five Finger Death Punch. Of course, this band makes the list. I couldn't have a list like this without Five Finger Death Punch because, let's be real here, these guys have been putting out garbage music since like 2015 when they released Got Your Six. Yes, I did like some songs off that album, but I agree, that album sucked. Even though it had some good songs though, like Wash It All Away, My Nemesis, I Apologize was only included on the deluxe edition, but that was a good song. Those are probably like the three best songs from that album. So, yeah, Five Finger Death Punch, these guys need to hang it up because their music is getting worse and worse with each album. But Got Your Six, it's where they went downhill, in my opinion. I did like those three songs, though, that I just named. But with Injustice for None in 2018, they even got worse than they were on Got Your Six. So, the Injustice for None album is the main reason why I'm putting them on this list, because if you think Got Your Six was bad, Injustice for None was way worse, not even comparable. So, Injustice for None, fuck that album, and hell with Five Finger Death Punch, because their music got worse since then, and it's not improved any. So, Five Finger Death Punch need to hang it up and just call it quits. So, Five Finger Death Punch, their older music will always be better than their newer music, and it's not even a contest. So, Five Finger Death Punch, these guys just need to go and call it a career, because their newer music is horse shit. Seriously. So the next band is Theory of a Dead Man. I like Theory of a Dead Man as well. But their music as of late, since like 2017, when they released the album Wake Up Call, I think that was the name of the album, that's where this band started going downhill. Their music started to sound like more pop, like, you know, and I just can't stand when bands do that. They'll be a rock band and they'll go and sell out and make pop music. It's like, what is this bullshit? And that's pretty much what we've gotten with Theory of a Dead Man ever since. I know they released an album like 2023 sometime, but I didn't bother listening to it because the albums before that they released were garbage from everything that I've gotten here from them. So, Theory of a Dead Man, their heavier music from the 2000s and early 2010s was good. But ever since Wake Up Call in 2017, that's where this band started to go downhill. So, for that reason, Theory of a Dead Man just need to also retire. So, Theory of a Dead Man has to make the list because their music since 2017 just ain't the same as it once was. So, the next band on the list is Linkin Park. Like I said before, R.I.P. Chester Bennington, but Linkin Park, they just need to start a new band and leave the Linkin Park name behind, because there's no Linkin Park without Chester Bennington. And I listened to their new album only one time on Apple Music because I couldn't get into it. This album was just awful. One of the worst albums I've heard all year long. So, yeah, Linkin Park, there's no Linkin Park without Chester Bennington. Linkin Park died with Chester Bennington, for being real here. And that's not to be disrespectful towards Chester or any other members of the band. It's just, Chester Bennington was Linkin Park. I know Chester Bennington wasn't the original singer himself, but at least he made Linkin Park something when he was still alive. What's Emily Armstrong doing? Nothing. She's not Chester Bennington. So this band, they just need to disband and start a new band if they're gonna continue with the same members and a new singer, because this ain't Linkin Park. Just saying. So, Linkin Park definitely makes the list, because, as I'm saying, no Linkin Park without Chester Bennington. That's how I feel about it. Next is Seether. I'm a big fan of Seether. They're one of my favorite bands, especially around the earlier 2000s era of rock music. But as of late, I cannot get into their newer music. I tried to get into their new album that they released like 2 or 3 months ago, back in September sometime. I tried to get into the album, but I just couldn't get into it. Just like I couldn't get into their 2020 album or their 2017 album. I think Isolate and Medicate, released in 2014, is Seether's last good album, because ever since 2017, their music just don't get the same vibe with me. I don't get the same vibe with Seether as I did with their music from the 2000s and early 2010s. So, I can't get into Seether and their newer music. So, when it comes to Seether, these guys, they just need to stop, because their music just don't hit the same anymore. So, Seether, I'm sorry, but you guys need to retire at this point. Next band on the list is Maroon 5. It actually pains me to have Maroon 5 on here, because they're a band that I really, really like a lot. I mean, I didn't mind some songs from Overexposed, but that's the album where they started to go more pop, and like I said, I don't like when bands go pop if they're not a pop band. So if you're a rock band or a pop rock band, then you don't need to go and sell out and make pop music, because that's ridiculous, for being honest here. So, Maroon 5, their earlier materials, like songs about Jane, It Won't Be Soon Before Long, and Hands All Over, those are their best albums, in my opinion. Especially Won't Be Soon Before Long, released in 2007. In my opinion, that's Maroon 5's best album, and my favorite album from Linkin Park, Maroon 5, I meant. My bad. But, yeah, that's my favorite album by Maroon 5, It Won't Be Soon Before Long. I still think Songs About Jane in 2002 was a classic, and Hands All Over in 2010 was good as well. Overexposed, that's where Maroon 5 should have stopped right there, to be honest, because after that album came out, that's where Maroon 5 should just hang it up, because what's their music nowadays? Repetitive, typical pop music. That's all they're making nowadays. So, they need to just go on and call it a career. Adam Levine, he's a great vocalist, but he took this band into a direction that it should have never went to. Let's just say that. Okay, the next band on the list is Evanescence. I'm probably going to get hate for this, but I don't really give a fuck, because Evanescence, they haven't put out a good album since the self-titled album in 2011. They released an album called Synthesis, or whatever the fuck it's called, in 2017. It's not a studio album, it's just a album with reworked songs from their earlier albums. And that album I could not get into. I tried to get into the singles from the Bitter Truth album that's released in 2022, but those singles were awful. It didn't even feel like Evanescence at this point. It just felt like a different band that Amy Lee was a part of. And that sucks to say, because I really liked Fallen in 2003 and The Open Door in 2006. And even the 2011 self-titled album had some good songs as well, from the songs that I know off of it. But nowadays, Evanescence, their music just don't do anything for me again. So this is a band that has to retire, in my opinion. I'm not hating on Evanescence or any of these other bands, but Evanescence, they're one of these bands that put out banger music back in the day, but nowadays their music lacks the sound that they had back in the day. I mean, if they want to change their music, that's on them, but it don't sound very good, so that's why I think they should retire at this point. Alright, and the last and final band on the list is Nickelback. This is another band that pains me to say that I think they should retire, but it's true. Get Rollin', released in 2022 sometime. That album was garbage. The only song that I like off of it was San Quentin. That was the only good song on the album, if we're being real here. But yeah, Feed the Machine in 2017. That was a good album. And then they released Get Rollin' years later. A disappointing and awful album. Probably the worst album that they've ever made, to be honest. I know I couldn't really get into Nickelback's first two albums, but I'd take those albums over Get Rollin' any day. Because Get Rollin' is hands down Nickelback's worst album, in my honest opinion. So if Nickelback's gonna continue to go down this road, then they definitely need to retire. So, with that being said though, this is my complete list for bands that I think should retire. If I could think of any more bands that I think should retire, they'll just be honorable mentions. Because this is the main list here, though, y'all. I know it's a short list, but that's all I can think of for the video. So, as I'm saying, if there's any more bands that I think that need to retire, then they'll just be an honorable mention. But before I go, I'm going to recap my list here. So, the first band on the list is Five Finger Death Punch. Then the band after that was Theory of a Dead Man. Then Linkin Park, Seether, Maroon V, Evanescence, and then Nickelback. So, let me know some bands that you guys think should retire. I want to know y'all's opinion. And let me know what y'all think of my list as well and all that good shit, and I'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching, and I'm out. Peace.